you do, my friend? I know sometimes it feels sad. Nobody said you, that's what I did for you, my friend. Remy, you always stay in my mind. Me gone, gone, gone. I cherish you in my life. Don't worry yourself, oh. Everything go day alright. And if anybody try you, you know it's gonna be on sight. See my shoulder, make you rest upon me. You know I got you. Let me be your friend in need. I'm on the money, don't show now. I don't keep some for you. You know go suffer. Cause anything I get now for me and you, yeah. How are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? See my sister, though sometimes you feel like so. Nobody said you, that's what I did for you, my friend. So, how are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? I know sometimes you feel like so. Nobody said you, that's what I did for you, my friend. Sometimes it feel like said, nobody sent you, that's what I did for you, my friend. I know that's hard to call enough, but you're always on my mind. Oh, I did for you, my friend. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crypto Pulse Weekly. I was just inspired by that song this week. Very interesting song from Johnny Drill and Don Daji. And yeah, I think I'm going to dedicate this episode of Crypto Pulse Weekly to. Actually, I was going to dedicate it to two people, but I'm going to make it three. I'm going to dedicate it to the first person. I'm going to dedicate it to one of my closest friends since childhood. We went to the same secondary school together. We went to the same uni together, studied medicine together. And it happened to be turning a year older 2 days ago. He doesn't watch this show, so you probably never know. Is Dr. Dile Kwala, the second friend, whose birthday mates with him. It's another friend that we went to secondary school together. He comes here once in a while. Engineer Kelvin Ogedengbe. They were born on the same day. And we were classmates in secondary school. And I was just thinking about it, the people you meet in life and how that sort of shapes you and who you eventually become. So happy birthday in arrears to Dr. Dele Kwala, Kelvin Ogedengbe, and also another classmate of mine, Dr. Wale Adefila. And to you, my favorite and ardent listeners and followers who patiently join the call every Friday. Thank you for showing up every time. And to those ones that go back to watch on YouTube afterwards, thank you as well. So today, I wanted to talk about, like I said, I wanted to talk about decentralized versus centralized exchanges. And I wanted to talk about that in the light of what has happened to the FTX exchange. Excuse me. And the noise about crypto.com. So I think it's important to put things in perspective, especially when it comes to organizations operating in the crypto space. You see, for organizations like FTX, I wouldn't say I was too surprised. I really didn't know about FTX, to be honest, until this year. Given that they started last year, apparently they started running the exchanges last year and most of the conglomerate last year. So I didn't really know about them so much until this year. And to see the quote unquote meteoric rise of the founder, you know, to becoming, face of Forbes and all that. And then to go from there to, chapter 11. I was trying to look through some of the initial proceedings and the initial assessments of the team that's, the regulatory bodies in the United States have put together to look into their Chapter 11 filing. Chapter 11 filing is a bankruptcy filing for the organization. So, what has happened, according to one of the chief, what would be, I don't know whether to call him chief executive officer now, one of the chief executives that are experts in taking over companies that have gone into maladministration, like Chapter 11, filing for bankruptcy. The guy is a legend in his field. He happened to oversee the Enron case. For people that were in the workforce or in uni in 90s, you will hear about the Enron case. Enron is an endless case study in business school. I must have touched on Enron more than twice during my time in business school. Enron is a classic case of corporate fraud and corporate corporate dysfunction, or corporate control dysfunction, or dysfunctional corporate control. They were creating all sorts of accounting loopholes and rules for themselves that were making them look good. Meanwhile, the company was going down the hill. And as a matter of fact, in crypto terms, you could call them a pump and dump. They were really, really doing very well. And all of a sudden, it went bust. And it was so significant in the late 90s. The Enron scandal was so significant that accounting standards had to be rewritten. You can ask the guys who are certified or chartered accountants. They'll tell you a lot of standards had to change in the accounting rules, in the accounting systems and standards because of Enron. That was how serious Enron was. It shook the whole, in both, the money market, everywhere was shaking now. Wow. A company as, big and successful as this could go down it went down in blazing heat. Let me use that word. And you can Google Enron, the Enron scandal. It was a big, massive scandal, and because it touched on so many things and so many. It was so big that I said it was so big that they had to change the accounting rule. Many consulting firms went down with that company. The companies that were auditors of Enron at that time was Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen had to break up and rebrand itself as KPMG and something else to get out of that scandal. That was how terrible it was. They dragged everybody down with them. And so the person that oversaw that bankruptcy proceeding is the same guy they called here. And the guy said that this is the worst. That was his assessment under Sport Affidavit. That this is his worst assessment he has ever had to do in his entire career, and that it was even worse than the Enron scandal. And he went on to talk about things that are in business and IT, they are what you call process and process controls, or what you call business processes. There are standards. There are things that you do as a business. So, for instance, if you open the business, you're supposed to have books or accounts. You're supposed to have ledgers. You're supposed to have registers. He said they couldn't even get a list of the banks that FTX had, not to talk of what their cash flow position was. They had no clue what their liquidity was. It was just a massive black hole. Like, they had 4 company or legal entities, and each of those legal entities was controlled by the Sam guy himself. However, there was no documentation on where the money was. There was no documentation on how many people they owed. There was no documentation on what they were making. It was just a black hole. There was no process for even normal HR processes. So they couldn't tell how many employees they had. They couldn't tell what was the process of hiring them. They couldn't show their contract of employment. It was understood that people got leave approval or approval for stuff via chat and chat emojis. It was mind-blowingly crazy. Like, I couldn't. These are supposed to be MIT graduates. I was like, this is crazy to the rooftops, like extremely crazy. Things that even the mom and pop shop would not do. I mean, and I'm saying that as somebody who has started a lot of businesses before. Even mom and pop shop will have basic accounts. Okay, these are the list of our expenses, these are the list of our creditors, these are the list of our debtors, these are the list of our products, this is how much our product is, this is how much is coming in, this is how much is going out. Nothing. Like nothing. And the guy was saying that at this point that they cannot even take any of the financial record or financial document that's been provided to them before now, that they can't take them seriously because they literally cannot see anything. And a lot of people raised a lot of questions. Are they saying that the venture capitalist guys who dropped $2 billion for this business, are they saying they are mad? Are they saying they don't know what they're saying? You know, there was a lot of conjectures by different people about, why could something like this have happened? I have two theories, and I mean, you don't have to believe me. It's just two theories out there. There are there are people who are genuinely committed to the industry, like people who are genuinely interested in the good of developing the crypto ecosystem, and there are people who are just purely scavengers, like vultures or locusts, or I don't even know what animals to give them. So there are people like that who are purely opportunistic. In medicine, you talk about opportunistic infections, meaning those infections, they're like one chance. They can't harm you normally, but then when they see that your barrier is broken down, they take that opportunity to harm you. Just like a robber who cannot, will not normally be able to do nothing in broad daylight, but takes the advantage of the darkness to do evil. So there are people like that, there are entities like that, there are opportunistic entities that see the crypto sphere as an opportunity to scam people, as an opportunity to do evil, as an opportunity to steal and to defraud people. And I think I would say this falls into one of those categories. This guy's story was so phenomenal that the guy that does Nas Daily video had to come out, because the guy did a Nas Daily video about him earlier this year. The guy had to come out 3 days ago to say, guys, I was wrong. That this Nas Daily video that I did talking about this guy, that I totally rescind what I've said. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull that video off our site in the next 24 hours. And I think we were just all caught up in the euphoria of, the gain in traction of Bitcoin and crypto, that nobody really dug deep and like, okay, what are these guys about? And especially when you hear that, okay, somebody big had dropped money. This is how the Madoff scandal happened. The guy was going after high value targets. So, and it kept the list exclusive. So it will say, okay, we're not taking more than 5 people this year. And then it will mention some big shots that already have their investment with them. So people were struggling. They were begging, almost like begging to have their investment with Bernie Madoff. And I mean, it was pure sport. The guy wasn't investing in anything. It was just it was just pure Ponzi. People were begging to have their investment made of, because it made it so exclusive and made it so, So when it's almost like a crowd effect. When people see that people of influence are doing something, that's why advertisers use influencers and stars and actors, because we get influenced by environment. When people see that somebody big has done something, you want to imitate them. And that's exactly what I think happened. Because I like to, deconstruct and find out what happens in situations like what we have in FTX. And what happened literally was the venture capital guys were the ones that derailed everybody. Because once people started seeing venture capital money to the tune of 2 billion going into a particular exchange, I was like, that guy must be a whiskey. And everybody started rushing in that direction, only to find out that they didn't have the most basic process was not in place. And I mean, I don't even want to go into how outrageous the things they've said this week was in terms of the findings, the initial findings, but it is really outrageous for an exchange of that size. Completely outrageous, completely outrageous. I mean, I can't even begin to fathom it. As a business owner, I can't begin to fathom it. As a consultant, I can't even begin to think that you have a business that's handling billions of dollars and you don't have basic business processes, like very basic business processes. You don't have bank master records. You don't have customer master records. You don't have vendor master records. Nothing. No process, no documentation, nothing. Well, it's like somebody say, it's not your money, it's not my money, but some things do get you angry when you think about how many times in your life you try to pitch business ideas to people and try to source for funds, and some people just got billions and just went haywire. Another interesting thing was Almeida, which is their trading arm that they used in trading the markets, has a bottomless hole um, arrangements with the exchange, and that's actually where I think they ran into problem. Technically speaking, that is where I think they ran into problem. I don't think they ran into problem with customer funds, honestly. Well, they ran into problem with customer funds because they were just putting everything together. So anything that comes in from the customer, they were lumping it with their own. There was no process. There was no structure. I've tried as much as possible to process it in my mind how you can operate something that big without some degree of structure. It just doesn't add up. Unless maybe they've decided to electronically burn their data or something, because it doesn't add up that you can have that kind of operation and not have any structure whatsoever. So there is no structure in place where the employees, the company's own cash is separate from the customer's cash. Then you now have a situation where one of your other entities has a bottomless hole. I'll use that word, a bottomless hole liquidity. What's it called? Liquidation price. So for people who are not familiar with futures or trading on crypto exchanges, you see, when you're trading on crypto exchanges, you can trade what you call spot, which is I want to buy one Bitcoin, it is $16,000. I buy. Or you can trade derivatives. Now, derivatives are in various categories. You have futures, you have margin, you have all sorts. You have options. There are all sorts of they're all technical products created to be traded. Now, when you're trading futures, what you're doing usually is that you're trading on leverage. So if you have £100 or $100 and you're trading futures and your leverage is let's say 1 to 20, what it means is that when you take a position with your £100, the trading platform automatically takes $20 or with your $20, $100, it takes $20 as your margin for that position. What does that mean? You want to take a position for $100. So, or when you want to take a position with your $100 at 20% leverage, what it means is that your position size can go as high as $2,000, even though you have only $100. Now, if you take that position and maybe it's a good day where the market's in a free fall, you take a short position, and then the market crashes 30%. What happens is, if the market crashes 20% from the price point at which you sold and drop, if I let's not even go that far. If the market drops 5% from the price point at which you sold, and then you take profits 5% after the drop, what it means is that you will have essentially doubled your initial capital on that single trade. That is the power of trading on leverage. But like most things in life, leverage is a two-edged sword. The same way you can profit very rapidly, you can lose money almost instantaneously. So what happens when people go to trade on leverages? Depending on how much leverage you've applied on that trade, the trading platform will give you what you call a liquidation price. That liquidation price is the price at which your entire position is going to be wiped off, meaning you have lost your money. In simple terms. Now, that liquidation price is calculated based on how much leverage you take in, how much the money you have in your account or you have devoted for the trade, and what your position size is. Technically speaking, it's supposed to protect you from losing everything, but most people will not, apply stop losses to their trade. So they end up, getting to the liquidation price. At the liquidation price, depending on how the setting, I think on Binance is set at 90%. On some exchanges, it goes all the way to 100% of the money and wipes out the money. So usually, for newbies or retail traders, people are getting into trading. You blow your account like 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 times before you realize what's going on, because the money just goes like that. So that's for everybody else. Now imagine you now have an entity which is a business entity trading on FTX that doesn't have a margin call or doesn't have a liquidation price of their trade. What it means is that if they enter a losing position, it is the exchange that is going to bear the brunt of their losing position, because their money will not have coverage for the position they are holding. So essentially what happened was the Alameda Research, the trading arm of FTX, essentially was just losing money on FTX and sinking FTX more. So at the bottom of it, I think that's what they will eventually find. I don't have all the details, but I will tell you what two and two have put together to arrive at that conclusion. So Alameda Research is headed by a lady called, I can't remember her name. She's Sam Bankman-Fried's, I think, classmate and probably girlfriend. Some people say it's the girlfriend or boyfriend, I don't know. But they're together one way or the other. She's the one that is leading that team or leading that trading house. And I was watching, as a matter of fact, I was watching a video where she was talking about, I don't understand why people put stop loss, that it looks like they don't understand trading. She was talking about trading, and I saw that video on Twitter, and I was thinking, who is this lady that is talking like this, like a complete novice? I didn't realize that she was the one that was heading Alameda Research, and she was that naive in terms of how the market really works, and the benefits of doing some things, especially when you're trading such very huge amounts of money. She was just saying it, in a casual way that we don't put stop loss on our trade, and I didn't know she was the one until much later when somebody now linked them together. Like, what? This is the person that is head of your trading. Like, so make no mistakes. What I think has happened is Alameda Research has burnt FTX money by schoolboy trading errors, and because the girl is probably Bank's girlfriend, she had been given a free hand to have a bottomless pit account. So they are trading, Alameda Research trading account on FTX cannot enter a margin call. It cannot be liquidated. As I said, what that means is that the house is going to pay for their losses, and that's what I think has happened to a very good extent. I know they were leveraged on Luna. They were exposed in Alameda was exposed in Luna. Instead of letting Alameda crash and burn with Luna, FTX was supplying money to Alameda whilst they were doing their cowboy trading runs and blowing the money. So that's in a nutshell is what I think has happened. They didn't have process, they didn't have structure in place, and there was a boyfriend girlfriend story involved where the girlfriend has the boyfriend's ATM and the ATM pin, so he has a bottomless pit. The reason I'm laughing, just to put it in context, it's not just because the boyfriend and girlfriend, it was because I was having a discussion with one of my children, and she was telling me that. So I was telling her that if she just uses a particular card of mine, that it's not going to work because there's no money on it. I've used up the money on the card. She's like, "What do you mean you used up the money on the card? I thought you could just use the card anyhow. That the money was endless." So that she just thought once you bring out the card, you can just use it. The money will just appear. So I was like, "Oh, you don't know how this world works yet." So that was why I was making me laugh, because basically that's what he's done. Give the girlfriend the ATM card, and they ran the house aground. So that's FTX, and I just thought I should explain to everybody what I found out. That's what I think has happened to them. It's the company is barely a year old. The exchange is barely a year old, and it's blown up to like 16 billion or 30 billion or whatever. So yes, too fast, too much, definitely. A pair of kids. Let me use that word. They're not kids, but they're young adults, but they're kids in essence. I mean, at his age, when he started at 25, I was still in medical school at the point. So I can imagine. I mean, they're still kids. They didn't know how things work. They knew some things. They were smart children, but they were kids. So um, they've displayed their childhood in the management of the affairs of that exchange. Now let's switch over to crypto.com. I'll come back to talk about DEX and centralized exchanges before we close. So crypto.com, on the other hand, um, we started hearing stories about crypto.com having issues just shortly after FTX. And you see, the problem with crypto world is that because it's quite small, it's very easy to spread fraud and false information and panic. Just the same way when KuCoin was hacked in 2021, and everyone was like, "Oh, KuCoin is going down." The guy said, "No, no, no, we're fine." And what happened? Not only were they able to lock down the funds of the hackers, they traced the hackers. They got like 99% of the money back. Plus, they caught two of them. They probably have caught all of them by now. So at that point, everybody felt like KuCoin was going to do it, but because they were properly set up, they were all right in their setup. They didn't have any problem. I mean, people have talked about KuCoin again this year, and the same thing had been said about Crypto.com. Now, for context, Crypto.com is being run by, how old is Alex now? Just give me a second. Let me see if I can get his age. Alex Mazinski. Crypto.com CEO. Yeah, Chris Mazalek. Sorry, not Alex. Alex is the Celsius CEO. I'm sure you probably have heard about Celsius. Celsius also was another. They weren't really an exchange, in my opinion. They were more like an app. They tried to make themselves like an exchange, but it was really an app it was trying to be a fintech crypto app, and they were they were trying as much as possible to sit somewhere in between Crypto.com and what's this other app, and Coinbase. But really and truly, they weren't like the other exchanges. They were not operating. I could say for sure that they were not operating on any blockchain, at least at the user interface level. Like I could tell that they were not even up to the middle layer. I don't think they were operating blockchain. They were operating just like electronic banking. They've gone under for whatever reasons. They had exposure to the lunar debacle, so they lost a lot of money there, and they've gone under. Crypto.com came under scrutiny because they were said to have mistakenly transferred, I think, 400 million worth of Ethereum to an address in KuCoin. KuCoin flagged it and saw it and then sent it back to them. They reached out to them and sent it back to them or something like that. But what I was going to say was that these organizations are being run by people, I mean, flesh and blood, really, and they're just as vulnerable and as fallible as every one of us. The only difference is that some of them have more experience than the other. So for Crypto.com CEO, I've talked about this before. I'm trying to look for his. It should be around 48 or 54. It's been around. Basically, it's been around for a while. It's run. It's run maybe like 4 or 5 companies that has failed before running Crypto.com. And even when they started Crypto.com, they started as Monaco. I think I mentioned this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And they ran into some issues because they initially wanted to focus it on the high end and everything. It didn't work as well. They had to switch their strategy. Then they rebranded to Crypto.com, and everything blew up. What am I saying? They weathered the storm significantly before they got to this stage. The guy running the show has experience failing. You see, it's something to be a smart person and be very good and be very intelligent. But if you don't have experience failing, your credentials are not enough. And I'm saying that, we grew up being told that we shouldn't fail, you shouldn't make mistakes. But I found out that the things we've perfected in life are the things we make the most mistakes from. I'll take that again. The things we perfected in life are the things we made the most mistakes from. So think about the child that tries to start walking. When the child starts to start walking, most of the time he falls on his butt, falls on his back. Even from trying to stand alone, the child struggles because one, no muscle memory, no muscle routine brought in the brain and in the muscle to say, this is how we need to align ourselves as the body to stand. After trying for a while, the child's muscle and brain figures out that this is the routine in which we need to fire our neurons to stand. Then he starts to try to walk. First by crawling, by holding stuff, then by falling so many times. So many times. Initially when the child falls, sometimes he will cry, everybody will sympathize with the child. After a while, the child will fall down and just continue. Like nothing happened. If you've ever watched a toddler or a child approaching a year old, you just find out that the child, lands on his butt, boom, and then gets up again. Why am I saying this? I have more confidence in crypto.com, even than Binance, because the guy running the show in crypto.com has failed a lot of times. If you fail a lot of times, you have enough negative feedback at the back of your brain to tell you what not to do. So they might not be as sophisticated as Binance, but I know that for sure the guy knows what not to do to get into trouble. So when everybody was shouting and saying, "No, it doesn't mean this is the end of crypto," and I said, "Well, I think I responded on the WhatsApp group then that I don't think they're in any trouble significantly, but I think because of the panic in the market, people might want to make a run and try to collect their money. And some people are even like saying, oh, they're going to withdraw their money. And some other guys are like, yeah, they already stated that if you wanted to withdraw to fiat, it was 3 days. That there is nothing wrong with their withdrawals. And I saw one of my influencer guys saying this evening that no, crypto.com is fine. That I'm able to withdraw my Bitcoin. They don't have a problem. And in terms of their roadmap, as at 2021, which is last year, they were almost 90% at par with their technology and development roadmap. Now, in the world of crypto, that is very significant. I'll explain what that means. When you have a crypto solution, a product, or a company, when they come out and give you their unique selling proposition or white paper, as we call it, they will tell you what the development roadmap is. So if I say, okay, I'm the author of Demis Coin, and this Demis Coin, we're going to use it to donate to charity. I'm going to tell you that, okay, in the next 1 year, we're going to create the token itself. For now, it is pre-sale. In 2 years' time, after we create the token, we'll create an exchange. In 3 years' time, we'll create an app. In 4 years' time, we'll have a lending system. So you have, milestones along the roadmap that most of these organizations, set for themselves. And that was Q1, Q2 last year. They were like almost at par with the development roadmap. They said they were going to migrate to their own blockchain. It took about 6 weeks. They were about 6 weeks. 6 months delay, but they eventually got on my blockchain. Then they upgraded the blockchain from the alpha version to the beta version, and then they did a lot of things. And they started opening up an ecosystem. What I said about them last year, was it last year or earlier this year, was that I see them trying to follow in the trail of Binance, watching what Binance is doing, and then trying to replicate it. And of course, they're spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money on advertisements. If you go to any F1 arena, you see crypto.com. If you go to any NBA stuff, you see crypto.com. They're spending a lot of money. I won't be surprised that in the World Cup as well. So they're spending a lot of money on marketing. Given. But also, they also spend a lot of money on developing products. So you have the crypto.com app, which was where they started from. You have the exchange, which is supposed to mirror the Binance exchange, even though it doesn't do it well. You have the wallet, which is like your Trust wallet. They do have their own decentralized wallet. Then not only do you have the wallet that you can download as an app, you have a wallet that you can download as a desktop wallet, which is an addition that many others don't have. They also have what you call DeFi ecosystem, meaning they have a lot of decentralized finance tokens and utilities that are not sitting on centralized exchanges that of course you need to do lockup on the blockchain and all that. They have all of that running for them. So I would be surprised. Frankly, I'll be surprised if crypto.com were to go down because I think they are well deep rooted as far as infrastructure, processes, setup, and roadmap is concerned. So when the person asked me that, should I get my money out? I said, if you want to get your money out of crypto.com, you can get into your wallet. But I understand that crypto.com is not FTX. I'm waiting for January. I think January will be a very good time to start loading up on CRO. I think what will happen when all this debacle is over is that the price of Bitcoin will go to another level where it becomes unaffordable to the common man. And I think I mentioned that before. Um, Institutions are buying secretly. Well, not so secretly because you can see the on-chain data, but they are buying at every price. They're buying. There is a company called what's the name of this company? Hack Invest. It's being run by a lady. It's a hedge fund in the US. The primary focus is fintech, technology stocks, and crypto. And they bought. I think it was this week. Was that this week or last week? They bought Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. You see, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is like a specially packaged Bitcoin. You buy it at a premium for the most part because it usually sells higher than the price of Bitcoin, way higher than the price of Bitcoin at any point in time. So people buy that in the hope that when the price appreciates, they can sell it, and they won't have to hold the keys to the Bitcoin. You see, but this Bitcoin Trust is backed by actual Bitcoin. Grayscale has tried many times to get that Bitcoin Trust to be converted to a spot Bitcoin ETF. But you see, US does not like an exchange traded funds that they are not in control. That's why US will never, I don't think US will ever approve a Bitcoin backed exchange traded funds. I've had this discussion many times on this forum before. An exchange traded fund is a reverse engineering way of manipulating the price of any commodity. I can't go into the details of it, but it's been done for gold, it's been done for silver, it's been done for oil, it's been done for grain. Any commodity you can think of in this world. When you create exchange traded products and instruments, and then you put it on the futures market, what you've done is you've given the government the back lever to reverse engineer and manipulate the price. Because what it means is that if they want to create an artificial supply, they'll just start flooding they'll start selling off on the markets. I don't want to go into you see that thing gets me really passionate. So I'm crying as much as possible to just stick to my script tonight. But let's just leave it there. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that discussion. But it gives the government, especially governments like the US government that are big governments, it gives them the opportunities to reverse manipulate the price of any commodity. Because what it means is that you can suck in and suck out value from that commodity by pumping in or pumping out price directly from the Fed, by the way. So this ETF product has been on the table for more than 2 years now. They've been trying to get approval from Security and Exchange Commission in the US. They've not given them approval for a Bitcoin-backed exchange traded funds. Now, a Bitcoin-backed exchange traded funds mean that for you to cash out, it has to be settled in Bitcoin. What they've done instead is to say that we're not going to settle in Bitcoin, but you can settle in dollars. So you have a dollar-backed Bitcoin ETF. There's a dollar-backed Bitcoin ETF right now. Now, the implication of that is that because it's dollar-backed, and the government has, or the Fed, let me not say the government, the Fed has infinite supply of the dollar. The Fed can determine, the Fed can determine to increase and to adjust the supply and demand of the dollar versus the price of that particular thing. In this case, Bitcoin. So what was I saying? ARK Invest just bought Grayscale Bitcoin Trusts in the last 2 weeks. The last time they bought was in July 2021. One, because the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is selling at a discount right now, and two, because the price of Bitcoin is behaving like the bottom. So if we were to look at the chart, okay, so the chart I have here is prior is the chart of FTX token. It came from 64 to $1. I'm surprised it's still standing at $1 to be honest, because at this point, I don't know what it's I don't know what it's worth. But in fairness, the price is similar to the price of other um, alt tokens. So if you look at the price of this is Solana. Solana has even dropped lower. Solana has dropped to 13. I was thinking Solana was going to stay at 18. It's dropped to 13 now. Ethereum is dropped as well. Ethereum is dropped to 1, 2. I think it's still, of course, based on our weekly projection, Ethereum is still going lower. Um, but generally speaking, what I was going to say was that because the price of Bitcoin is now, yeah, this is Bitcoin. Let me go to the daily charts so to clear out the noise. Now, yeah, this is looking funky. Technically speaking, this is a this is a bearish pennant or a descending pennant, meaning it's a bearish sign. I'll draw out. I'll draw out. Just give me a second. I'll draw out the. I'll draw out the structure on this chart now. So this descent is the bottom. This I'm gonna put it on 4 hours. The pennant is not showing well here. It's showing well now on the 4 hours. On the 4 hours, this is the base of the pennant. Oh, that's the top. That's the top triangle, and that's the bottom. Now, 90% of the time, when you have a pennant like this, depending on where the precursor market direction is, market is going to break in the line of the precursor market direction. What do I mean? If the market was going down, I have a pattern like that, showing um, almost either an isosceles or an equilateral triangle, like that, chances are the price is going to break down, and there is no strong fundamentals for the price to go back up right now. So um, my bet is that the price will go down by the same length by which it dropped to this level. So if we pick from here to here, which is from 18 from yeah, that's from 21,000 to 18,000. This is just an approximate. It means we can expect something like that. I'm going to compress this. Yeah, so it means that we can expect 12 or 13,000 very easily, because from the measured move, from a technical point of view, if the price drops like that and then forms this triangular pattern to the side, it means that the expected drop after that is supposed to go as far as the original drop. That's just pure technical analysis. But having said that, like I said, midterm elections are the only thing that are holding the price up. Everybody's still euphoria now because CPI is mixed. You know, there are a lot of mixed figures in the offing, but really, you can begin to see that. For instance, housing prices, what's it called? Yeah, new house purchases have been dropping in the US for the last 9 months. So it means house price will start taking the hit. When house prices start taking the hit, then the government has to move in, because that is an obvious sign that the market, I mean, the economy is in pure recession. It's one thing for the statistics to tell you that there's recession and the government is shouting recession, recession. But when some key metrics start beginning to roll back, you know that yes, there is imminent recession. For UK, the recession is projected to be like 2 years. For US, I don't think it's been anything significant. I think after the first Q, that is after Q1 of 2020, 2023, by which they will have increased the rates anyway, there will be a massive rate hike to finally calm down the economy and force it into submission mode. After that rate hike, I think they will stop. What that stop means is that they will stop quantitative tightening, meaning sucking up the money printed. Once that stops, the money printer starts again. And when it stops, I will be sure to tell you that I think the quantitative tightening has stopped. And from now on, up only. Like I said, what some of us didn't understand going into the last bull run was that this market is still very much dependent on the equities market because the major players are still taking funds from the money market and equity and even from the bond market. So what has happened now is the crash of equities markets means people are margin called. They take out their easy money from crypto. Then they take the easy money from crypto, then they take it from the equities as well because bond is providing a much safe haven than even the equities market. So they put it in US bond, which is evidence with the strength of the US dollar, and leave it there. So when the dollar starts to print again, bond starts to get unattractive. So they need to take the money out and look for new homes. And that's when we start to see the price making a headway. Now, the last thing I said that I was going to talk about was the decentralized and centralized exchange. I've said this many, many times here, but I'm just going to go through it again. Centralized exchanges are just like your internet banking applications or your banks. I don't need to do any further explanation. That's exactly how centralized exchanges are, and that's how they operate. The only difference is that withdrawal mechanisms can be a bit quirky, not quirky, but complicated or look complicated in some ways, especially if you're using apps like Binance where you need to copy the recipient's address and all that stuff. So the setup of most centralized exchanges is that they have what you call hot wallets, then you have warm wallets, then they have cold wallets, and they have cold storage. Now, hot wallets are just the way they've grouped your folders. Let's use folders and files because everybody has folders and files on their computer. So in the backend database application of Binance, for instance, every single user has a folder. In that folder, they have subfolders. So if I'm user Demi, I'll have a main folder, which is my user. Then inside my user, I'll have many folders. One of the folders is the wallets folder. Inside my wallet, I have like 5 folders. I have funding wallet, sports wallet, futures wallet, margin wallet. All the wallets will be in one folder. Then if you go to another section of that stuff, then you have the actual wallets themselves that belong in those different wallets. So these ones, I'll call them token wallets. The token wallets are like I don't want to use the word IP address, but think of them as your addresses or like your email addresses. The token wallets are email addresses specific to the token. So if I want to receive Binance coin on Binance, there is a specific address I need to give to them that will make them know that this Binance token is going for Demi's folder on the Binance exchange. It's a complex setup, but it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. The way I would say that Binance probably has one of the best currently because I've used both the app and the web version. The web version was the ones that started first. So the app fed the features of the app feed from the web version for Binance. For crypto.com, the app came first. So they had to reverse engineer and integrate the exchange into the app. So the exchange is not as sophisticated, in all honesty, as the one you have for Binance. So that's how it's supposed to be structured. For each user, you have those folders, and then you can see what belongs to each user. If you want to send, for instance, between one user in Binance to the other, just like you're sending from GT to GT in Nigeria, it's not going to charge you because you can do what you call internal transfer of some sorts using the person's email address or using the person's phone number like you do on crypto.com as well. But if you now want to transfer out, you need to provide the blockchain address of the person you're sending to, and then it will action your instruction and send the money accordingly. That's a centralized exchange. I think we're still going to use centralized exchanges for a while because not everybody is comfortable with the idea of keeping their own money. So there's a general saying in crypto that not your wallet, not your crypto. But not everybody is comfortable yet with just holding on to their money on their own and absorbing the risk. So they prefer other people to bear the risk than them. But understand that these are still companies in their infancy. And like I said, a simple rule of thumb: if you are risk averse, is to ensure that 60% of your crypto is sitting in decentralized wallets that you control and 30% on exchange. I mean, if you don't trade, you can just as well just move everything off the exchanges. Each time you move, they're going to charge you anyway. But if you have very large sums, you're better off downloading decentralized wallet like Trust Wallet, SafePal, MetaMask, my Ethereum wallets, Coinbase wallets, Crypto.com wallet. I mean, there are all sorts of wallets that you can download, and you have your passphrase. The only problem is that anybody that has access to your passphrase on your decentralized wallet has the money, because that means the person has the access to move the money. So, or recreate your, not just move the money. If somebody has the passphrase to a particular wallet, you can recreate that wallet on any platform. Simple example: if I download the Trust Wallet application on my phone and it gives me a 24-word passphrase and I write it down, if that phone gets lost, gets destroyed, or anything happens to the phone and I need to wipe it, if I buy another phone, I can recreate that app or recreate that wallet on the new phone's app if I remember the 24-word passphrase. So it automatically gives me access back to that token. So, well, I mean, does it have advantage? Of course, the advantage. It means your money is you. Nothing can happen to it. But of course, there is also the risk of uh, like we say, key man risk, meaning that if anything happens to you and nobody knows about that wallet, that means that money is gone. There's so many Bitcoin wallets like that, either the people just misplace the passphrase that they can't access the wallet anymore, and the money is gone. So it's having a balanced approach on how much you actually keep on those exchanges versus um, how much you keep on your decentralized wallets. But if you're not a trader, if you don't trade the markets, once you buy them, you can just take them off into your decentralized wallet and keep them there. That's all. That would be my recommendation. So for people wondering, it's like one of my uncles said. He said that I heard that crypto is dead. That because the king of crypto is gone bankrupt. So I'm like, the guy is not even the guy is I mean the guy's business is less than 1 year in the industry. So for people that are wondering, crypto is not dead. The funny thing is that every bull run every bull run has come up, every bull and bear market has come up with some sort of disaster. In 2017, 2018, there was this exchange called Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox was an exchange in Canada. And just around the time when the bear market started, the guy just disappeared. They said the guy died on a vacation in India. But till today, that guy has not been found. Later, the guy's co-founder was seen to have started another company, but some people found him out on, I think, on Twitter. So they were able to link his blockchain address or something like that, and found out that it was the same guy. Shortly after, the guy disappeared. He was trying to run a new project at the time, and people found out that it was the same person. So people said it was a dubious person. That words around is that maybe it was the one that killed the guy to get access to the funds. But yeah, nobody will ever know. But I think at that point in time, I don't know. I think they were able to gain access to Mt. Gox's Bitcoin, but that Bitcoin is in legal custody of some sort now. And every time people want to create fraud, they just go and talk about Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox Bitcoin is coming to the market. How much? I can't remember how many Bitcoins. It's maybe like 120,000 of Bitcoin or something like that. That is going to crash the markets. Uh, I don't think they're going to release those Bitcoin until maybe like 2023 or 2024. If at all they're going to release them, they'll probably be done OTC and they'll probably be bought up by institutions and not by not by mere mortals. Let me use that word. So yeah, so there's always bad news in every bear market that affects the industry, but I think this one has just been a little too much. First it was Luna, then it was Celsius, then Almeida behaved like wasn't then 3 Arrow Capital, then now FTX. what I found out, like I said last week, most of these guys were over leveraged, extremely over leveraged. For people who don't know what I mean, just like when you're trading, you're using $100 to trade 1,000. That's 10x leverage. That's too much leverage. So many of these guys didn't have the money they were operating with. So when your business is too leveraged, it's like you're stretching yourself too thin. Any small cut is going to tear everything apart. So that's all I have for today. If you have any question on Instagram, please do send me your question. If you have any question on the Zoom call, you can just unmute your mic and go for it. Thank you very much indeed once again. Okay, looks like we don't have any question. He said that everybody understood perfectly what I've said. Hi, Albert.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Albert.
Uh, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. And what I want to say is, I think those who are spreading, I don't know whether they are creating fear and panic about the rest of the crypto exchanges because of the collapse of FTX. I think it's good, so that if after all this the exchanges are able to withstand, then they can see the credibility. Then people can see the credibility of those exchanges, so that it will help us, those of us who are committed to trade. So this is what I want to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Albert. I think you're right. It will lead to more regulation, of course. There will be more regulation around centralized exchanges. I mean, I can bet that, especially in the US. The US is already crazy, but they're going to go for it like mad. Um, it's also going to strengthen the transparency of those exchanges. But I see a trend forming. I mean, knowing the crypto community, and there is a part of the crypto community that nobody knows, the developers and the geeks. Nobody knows those. Well, most people don't know those guys. Those are the guys that are really making things happen, because they're the ones that are always coming up with new stuff. What I think we're going to have are exchanges that are DEX meaning decentralized. They are decentralized exchanges with hybrid of centralized exchanges. And I see that pattern already. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I found out that you now had a functionality in Trust Wallet that allows you to buy crypto directly to your Trust Wallet. Like, you're not going through any centralized exchange. You need to put in your card details and it just goes through. Uh and it had like it had four merchant options, like Trust Wallet. It had MoonPay, which was the Chinese one. It had Simplex. There was another one. Then there was a Binance Connect. So out of curiosity, I went to like just check the Binance Connect to see what it was doing. So basically, what Binance Connect was doing with Trust Wallet was it will ask you to put in your Binance login credentials. Of course, it will validate you with the triple factor authentication. Once you do that, it then asks you, how much you want to buy. So it's like they have found a way to sell directly to decentralized users who have Binance accounts. What this means is that people will be able to buy crypto without necessarily getting on the centralized exchanges. They can just buy it from their wallet and keep it on their wallet. I think we're going to see that trend grow. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because it also takes away a lot of autonomy and responsibility from the exchanges. Because if you bought it, what it then does is it sells it to you from the exchange's own merchants. Let's say the exchange itself. Let's say you want to buy Binance token. The exchange itself sells you the Binance token and then automatically transfers it to your Trust Wallet. So I think it's a good thing. I think it will only lead to better things. Like I said, the Enron scandal was the birth of so many accounting standards. In fact, IFRS is still changing till today because of Enron scandal. They're still adding new stuff to IFRS just because Enron scandal scattered the world of finance at the time. So yeah, I think it's for the good of the industry. So thank you very much, everyone. Do have a lovely weekend, and see you again. I'm not sure I'll see you again next week. I think I have a family function that I have to attend next week, but I'll see you again upper week at the minimum. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you
Benny.
very much, Doc.
Good
Yes, sir.
night.
Good night, guys.